All right, here we go. What's going on, guys? Good morning. A little tired. As I've mentioned before, I'm dealing with a contract deadline. So I was up pretty late last night, building some last minute features. So I'm a little tired, a little slower this morning. I apologize. But what are we going to talk about today? So if you saw the last vlog just a couple days ago, if not, check it out. I talked about how I found out the job results, and now I am full speed ahead on iOS contracting. So we're going to talk about that, talk about some of the contracts I have going on and how I'm handling that. Yesterday I did my first YouTube collaboration with somebody you might know. We're going to dive into that. And then I'm going to give a quick update on the mentoring and then the channel. And hey, what's going on, Thomas? Good to see you again. And then we'll get into the Q&A as usual. So hey Kai, hey Filippo, hey Mark, good to see you guys again. Thanks for always coming out, showing the continued support. Really appreciate it. So yeah, usual format. I'll talk for 5 or so minutes, keep asking questions, and then we'll get to the Q&A at the end. But first, for those of you that are here, hey, what's going on, Todd? We need to get together, Todd. When are we doing that? Leon, hey, what's up? Hey, Kilo. Hey, Mark, again, Leon. So yeah, let me go ahead and give my spiel, go ahead and ask some questions, and I'll get back to the comments. I'll catch up. But first, for those that are already here and watching the replay, I have a question for you. As always, I'm trying to start getting more interaction. I've been considering making an online course. I've been going back and forth on doing this or not because it is a lot of work and I'm already pretty busy. But I've been kicking around the idea. So around the topic, hey, what's going on, Ben? Around the topic consideration for this course, would you guys want something, first of all, it's going to be building an app, but would you want it to be more of a basic app, kind of a beginner, just the very, very basics, or would you want it to be more advanced? Now, the caveat here is if it's basic, I could probably pump it out pretty quickly. If it's a more advanced app, it's going to take time. So really, it's a matter of like the release date for the project. But I'm just kind of curious to get your feedback. Again, if you're here, go and let me know. Or if you're watching the replay, go and leave a comment. Let me know if you'd like a basic app as an online course or a more advanced app. So just something I've been kicking around. A lot of people have asked me to do one. So I've been kind of bouncing the idea around in my head. I'm not sure how to handle it. But all right, let's talk about the job and contracting update. Again, if you saw the vlog, this might be a little repetitive, but if you didn't catch the vlog, I'm going to fill you guys in. So as you guys may have known, I've been waiting for a while to hear back on a full-time job offer. During that wait, because it was about a little over a month, I'd kind of picked up some leads on some good contracts, and but I couldn't commit to them because I might have had a full-time job. So the full-time job didn't work out, and honestly, by the time the full-time job offer didn't work out, there was a good chance I would have turned it down anyway because I had some promising contracts, and now that I started working at WeWork, I was loving contracting again, whereas before I wasn't really liking it. So long story short, now I'm a full-time contractor and I have 2 contracts in place, potentially even one for a third, kind of like when it rains it pours, and that's the thing with contracting. They talk about feast or famine. Sometimes you have more projects than you can handle, which is kind of where I'm at right now, and then there's other times where it's hard to find work. So I guess I'm in one of those good periods right now, so I consider myself lucky and not take it for granted, but I'm going to be pretty busy over the next couple months. I'm still going to be knocking out the YouTube videos and stuff. I think we'll get back to that, Mark. That's one of the topics I want to talk about too. So that's kind of where I'm at with contracting. Again, still going to do the 3 videos a week, but I'm going to be very, very busy with that contracting. Collaboration. Some of you guys might know Brian from Let's Build That App. He and I did, my first YouTube collaboration. I think it might be his first one too. We did a collaboration yesterday where he interviewed me kind of about my developer background and where I came from, just kind of my story. But I'm not sure when he's releasing that. Probably, I imagine early next week. He was editing it last night. So be on the lookout for that. And if you're not familiar with who Brian from Let's Build That App is, definitely go check out his channel. He handles more intermediate topics, so he'll build like a full YouTube app or full Twitter app, and he doesn't use storyboards. He's team coding, which is perfectly fine. It's a completely different mindset, not wrong or right. So yeah, definitely you guys, sounds like you guys, I assume our audiences are pretty shared. So yeah, it was pretty cool. It was a lot of fun. Good to meet him in person. I'm hoping that's the first of many. I mean, he lives 20 minutes. Yeah, yes, Van Dun. Yes, Brian Voong. He lives 20 minutes away from me, so there's really no reason not to. We have a lot in common. Obviously, we're both iOS developers. We both love basketball. So I think that'll be the first of many, but we'll see. Definitely check that out. Hopefully sometime this week, and I did a vlog about it, so my vlog will be released earlier this week about it, and then his interview should be released earlier this week too. So keep an eye out for that. So real quick mentoring update. As you guys know, I'm taking on students. I'm currently full at the moment. I do want to just be clear that it is a paid service because it takes up a lot of my time. Last time I mentioned mentoring, people thought it was kind of a free thing I was doing, but it takes up a lot of hours. And the reason I even did the mentoring was because people said, hey, will you teach me? I'll pay you. So I was kind of like, okay, sure. So I am gonna have, I'm full right now, but I'm gonna have a slot opening up soon. So if you're interested in that, let me know on Twitter DM or in email. And then Mark, this is I think where your comment was going about sharing the love of all the contract work. So I get hit up all the time on email or Twitter DM about, hey, can you give me work? Can you give me some of your contract work? Can I help you out? You know, and the truth is, like, it's hard. I get these contracts, and for me to like pass it on to somebody, like I have to know them because it's my name on the line. Like if I'm going to subcontract it out or give work to somebody, like recommend, hey, have this person do it. It's hard for me to do that to a complete stranger because I have no idea. I mean, you could be the best coder in the world. You could be the worst in the world. Like I have no idea. So I don't want to put my reputation on the line with somebody I don't know. So where I'm going with this is I'm not to the point where I am looking to subcontract yet. I'm not there. I'm just kind of looking to the future where I might be to that point. And the honest truth is, if I do subcontract it out, it'll probably be to my students. And here's why. It's because I've built a relationship with them. I've gotten to know them. And through teaching them and working through projects with them and helping them out on their own apps, I have a feel for their coding abilities. So, and this isn't like just a ploy to be like, hey, be my student and you'll get work. It's not that at all. I'm just kind of want to illustrate that it's hard for me to give it to a stranger. It's much easier for me to give it to a student who I've seen their code, I've worked with, I've taught them. I'm more comfortable subcontracting out and giving them work because I know what I'm getting into, you know. So that's just with that. So again, just want to be honest with you guys and upfront. That's kind of how I'm going to handle the subcontracting. I'm not there yet. Again, I'm not saying I'm giving these guys work already, but if it ever comes to that, that's kind of how it will go probably. Again, just because I'm familiar with them. And then the last update before I start answering the questions and getting caught up here. I see all the comments coming in, but I'll catch up here in a second. So real quick, if you're watching the replay, definitely look for timestamps. I've been doing that with the live streams lately. So a lot of times, you know, it's a 40-minute live stream. You might not have time to watch all that. Definitely check out the description. I'll be timestamping everybody's questions and the topics I went to, so you can kind of skim through the video to get what you want out of it. Let me grab a drink real quick. I'm getting out of breath. So much talking. I like the Q&A because it's a back and forth. This first part is just me rambling. Get out of breath. All right, last update is the Patreon update. If you're not familiar with what Patreon is, it is a way to go ahead and support me at patreon.com/Sean Allen. I'm trying to build a tight community there. One thing I found though, it's hard to build a community because on that site, there's not a lot of options for like back and forth communication. So I'm going to start a Slack channel for the Patreon community. Now, typically I've mentioned before, I'm usually against Slack communities because they get super crowded, and when there's too many people in it, the conversations become way too hard to follow, and it's overwhelming. However, for the Slack channel, if you are Patreons, you know, just for them, that way you'll have access to me, you'll have access to each other, you'll be able to help each other out, and I think I'll be able to build a tight-knit community through that Slack channel on Patreon as well. So check that out. You also get to vote on upcoming videos. So for example, the Patreon community voted on Concurrency and Threading, which is coming this week. I've been putting it off for a week because I've been super busy with the contract. And then also basic unit testing is coming this week as well. So whether it kills me or not, Concurrency and Threading and basic unit testing are absolutely coming out this week. So be on the lookout for those. That's kind of my last update, I think, before I jump into the Q&A here. Let me just double check. Yep, okay, let's get caught up and do some Q&A. Scroll back to the top of this. I'll get to all your questions for sure, but I'm going to start from the top here. Okay, Caesar says more advanced topics using best practices. Cool, okay. Hey Reed, what's going on? Vondan, more advanced for sure. Okay. Kai, more advanced. Okay, so it seems like more advanced is the preferred way to go here. Again, just so you guys know, a more advanced app is going to take me a lot longer to build, which I'm fine with, but just so you guys know, the release date on that will probably be later then. Sidar said, I'm going to get, Genghis Khan says hi. Not the real Genghis Khan, I'm assuming. Sidar says, hey Sean, I recently started to follow your YouTube and your teaching style is very relatable and pretty easy to understand concepts. Thanks, Siddharth. Yeah, I get that comment a lot, and like I said, I think it's because I was in your guys' shoes 2 years ago. Like, I don't have a computer science background. I haven't been doing this for 10 years. I've only been doing it for a little over 2. So I remember exactly what it was like to be in your guys' shoes trying to learn online, and I remember the concepts that like really tripped me up and what kind of took me a while to learn. So when I do my videos, I try and really harp on the stuff that I remember gave me trouble. So, all right, let me go back. Okay, yeah, this is Mark Share the Love comment. I talked about that. Yep, a lot of reaction to the Brian collaboration. Yeah, I was excited about that. So I'm curious to see the reaction and the influx of people. Hopefully that'll come to my channel and kind of discover me, from Brian's channel, because he obviously has the much larger viewership. But like I said, he was a really cool guy. Glad to meet him. Like I said, hopefully that was the first of many. Yeah, and Sidar says he came to my channel from his channel. So there you go. Yep, Leon says, hope you guys make more videos together. That's the plan, hopefully. Tutorial on how to read Apple's reference documentation. Ade, I'm not sure if you were I've talked to somebody about this, and I did take note of it, and it is high on my list of things to do, because I remember the first year of my career, basically, like, I was relying on Stack Overflow and blog posts, and I didn't really learn how to dig into Apple documentation and the source code and like really figure things out. It wasn't until I built like one of my first apps. It was an iMessage app right after iMessage just came out. So there was no blog post, there was no Stack Overflow answers, because it was a brand new framework. So I was kind of forced to really dig into the Apple documentation and really learn that way. And that was kind of a turning point in my career. Once I learned how to do that and got, fairly good at that, now I was able to solve problems much easier, rather than like, crossing my fingers hoping there was a blog post on the topic or hoping there was a Stack Overflow answer. So yes, that is an important tutorial, I think, and I will be making that one soon. So thanks for the tip there. Okay, Sidar says he had mentioned your channel in one of his live videos. Yep, I remember that live stream. I was in there. Mark says, yep, true, and that's fair. I'm assuming that was about the student passing work on to the students rather than just a complete stranger that I don't know if they're a good coder or not. Good practices to provide some trial for subcontractors, but you're right, the best case to deal with familiar persons. Yeah, like, and I'll be straight up honest, I have no experience subcontracting work out, so I'm gonna have to like look into that and talk to a lot of people and figure out best practices. So I got some work to do to figure that out. But like I said, I'm not in that position yet. I'm just kind of thinking in the future, if I am in that position, how I would handle it. But you're right, I need to do some research on that. Sidar says, hey Sean, can you do a video related to how you got your first project as a freelancer? Sure. I can kind of tell the quick story right now. I don't know if it warrants a full video because it's not much of a story. Basically, my roommate at the time had his boss, where he worked, they had a lot of like training videos, and he knew I was learning to be an iOS developer, and he asked if I can make Apple TV apps, and of course I was like, sure, I can do that, because tvOS and iOS are basically the same with the exception of how you like interact, because obviously you can't swipe a TV or tap a TV. It's called the focus engine on tvOS, so there's that minor little difference, but it's basically the same. Some different design principles too, but so how the story goes, he just needed somebody to make a basic tvOS app to stream all his training videos. So that's kind of how it happened. I said sure, and I did it for like, I think $45 an hour, which in Silicon Valley is dirt cheap, like insanely cheap. But I did that because that was at my my very first project, and I had no leverage, and I just wanted to do it for the experience. So that's the story. I don't know if it warrants a full video, but that's pretty much how it goes. Von Don says, what's the best way to work with you at this point? I meant not work involving money. So like I keep saying, my time is very limited with all these contracts, making YouTube videos, coaching. I mean, I kind of, yeah, I've backed myself into a weird position where it's like I have like no like free time at all. So I'd say the best, it's kind of hard. There's really no way to work with me right now, to be honest with you, until I get some free time to where I can, work with you. Because the other thing about passing on work is like I also have to, review that work, because again, it has my name on it at the end of the day. So I'm gonna have to like review all that code. So yeah, the best way to work with me is probably through the coaching, just because that that's what I have time allotted for. Tom Phelps, do you think finding contracted work or building your own apps to sell is the best way to go for profit? Contracting work, 100%. Independent app developers, that's how they make their money, is from sales from their app, is very hard. Back in 2009 when the App Store first came out, it was like a gold rush, and like so many people could do it, and so many people did it. However, nowadays with the App Store having I don't even know the number, a ridiculous amount of apps, it's just so oversaturated. I'm not saying it's impossible, but if you want to say, like if you were a betting man and you wanted to bet on the best odds to make money are just contracting. Most likely you're not going to make money independent. Like you have to have one of those indie hits to make money, or you could either have one indie hit, or if you had 30 apps that were just making small amounts of money a month, but that added up. Again, the independent app developer route is a tough road to go. Again, not impossible. There's plenty of people doing it, but if you want the most likely way to make a profit, definitely contracting. Leon says, hey Sean, how do you learn iOS programming using online lectures? What are your advice you will give to the beginners? I'm not sure what you mean by online lectures. You mean just like online tutorials, people coding? Yeah, so my advice is always, YouTube channels. I always say raywenderlich.com, their beginner series, definitely go through that, and just keep at it. I mean, I believe in repetition, and keep doing it is definitely the key and the easiest way to learn it. Siddhar says, is your Slack channel going to be strictly for patrons, or is it going to be open to all your viewers? Probably just strictly for patrons. Again, for the reason, not because I'm trying to create an exclusive club. It's just from like I said, I think Slack channels go downhill very quickly when there's like 3,000 people in it, right? You have 3,000 people trying to chat in a chat room. It gets overwhelming. It's impossible to follow the conversation, especially for me, because I'm assuming everybody's going to want, or a lot of people are going to want, my input on things, and I'm not going to be able to keep up with 3,000 people trying to chat. I mean, so yes, it's not to create an exclusive club. It's just to keep, because my whole advertising thing for the patron community is because we want to build a tight community around the content. We're going to help each other learn. So yeah, I do need to keep those numbers low if I'm going to be able to deliver on that promise of a tight-knit community and be able to get in there and help people. If there's 5,000 people in there, like I just can't do that. Mark says, you should host a meetup. That's interesting. I know there's a few people that watch that are in San Francisco. I get a few comments on my videos, and actually one of the people I'm coaching is in the Bay Area. So that might be an interesting idea. Maybe Brian and I can get together to do that. I don't know if he'd be interested in that or not, but I think between my audience and his audience, which again, a lot of it probably crosses over, there might be enough people in the Bay Area to do a little fun little meetup maybe. I don't know, I'll have to see what he thinks about that. Thomas says, can't wait for those 2 videos. Yep, me neither. Vondan says, wow, I could really use some concurrency and threading tutorial. Yes, again, the patron community voted on that, I think 2 weeks ago. I've been behind in putting it out just because it's not a simple tutorial I can knock out in like 20 minutes. I have to think of, because it is a complicated topic, so I have to think of what is the best way that I can present it to people that don't understand it so that they understand it quickly. Kind of like if you watch my delegate videos, hey, Brian's here. Kind of if you watch my delegate videos, I did the boss and intern analogy, or the value types and reference types. I had the Google Doc versus an Excel spreadsheet analogy. So I need to come up with a way to figure out how to present that so people can easily understand it. So it's a process to come up with those videos. But like I said, whether it kills me or not, concurrency and threading and basic unit testing is coming out this week, because that's what you guys voted on. All right. I just scrolled about a beard comment. All right. So thank you for your channel. I'm a beginner and so excited to start learning how to code iOS, and I hope to have an app not on the App Store by this time next year. That's good, JD. Let me know if I can help you out with that. I think you're on the right path. Like I said, just keep at it. You'll get there. Reese says, how long are you growing out the beard? I plan on shaving it very soon. It's getting annoying. And I can't really grow a mustache, so like I always have to shave this, so now it looks like I'm an Amish person. But yeah, it's going soon. It's starting to annoy me. Vondan, there are a lot of resources out there for concurrency and multi-threading. Oh yeah, of course. I just like to put my spin on it, the way I teach things. A lot of people seem to like, because I think I'm good at using like analogies and breaking things down so people can understand it. So yeah, I'm just going to put my spin on it, and hopefully it'll be easy to understand concurrency and threading tutorial. And it finishes out, like I want a whole series on my website that'll answer pretty much all basic interview questions. So, I have that interview question series going. I have about 5 more topics I want to cover to finish that out, and concurrency and threading is one of them. Kirti, good to see you again. See you in the live streams all the time. Hope you're doing good as well. Adnan says, thanks for the updates. You're welcome. What do you think is as a beginner, is the best place to start? Again, I feel like a broken record. I always go to raywenderlich.com. That's just because that's what I got my start on, and it helped a ton when I was going through the bootcamp. That's what really put me over the hump going through the bootcamp. I was struggling in the beginning, and then I started doing his tutorials, and that, like I said, really helped me understand and get me over the hump, and I was on my way. So I think they're great. Not everybody likes them, but I think they're awesome. That really helped me understand. So I would start there and then just keep hitting up the YouTube channels. There's tons of great resources out there. Dilip says, hey Sean, I'm about to finish my Swift Learning 3.1 and I want to start learning Xcode or framework. So please can you share your source of learning? Not sure what you mean by learning Xcode. So Xcode is kind of one of those projects like programs like Photoshop, right? Just the more you use it, like you'll start picking up all the little tips and tricks. I mean, learning Xcode is a process and takes a while because there's so much you can do in there. You just got to keep at it. It comes with experience. Kirti says, it would be very helpful if you help me with UI label. How can you align text top left? I have UI label complete screen and I want to start my text from top left rather than center left. Kirti, go ahead and email me. That's not something I want to like answer on a live stream, but go ahead and email me and be more specific with the code and what you're trying to do, and I'll definitely help you out. Todd Gore says, what happened with Dropbox? Are you talking PayPal? Dropbox, I wasn't interviewing with Dropbox or anything like that. There was a meetup I was going to go to at Dropbox. I don't know if you're talking about that, but no, maybe with PayPal. If you watch my latest vlog, I think it's vlog number 10, where I talk about how everything went with the job, I go into that. But basically, PayPal didn't work out, but he was looking for somebody more senior at the start of the interview anyway. The only reason he even interviewed me was because he saw the YouTube channel and liked me, essentially. And he wanted to give me a shot at it just in case I could blow him away. But I still think I built a good relationship with him. We're going to keep in touch for potential future offers down the line. But he can only hire one person, and he's looking for a very senior guy, like 6 years experience type senior, which I only have 2. Yeah, it was a good experience. Reese says, oh, Sean, my 2014 MacBook Pro is suffering from stain gate. Not sure what that is. Where the code, you're going to tell me, where the coating is peeling off. So I'm hoping Apple will repair for free. Report says they do. Yeah, hope so. Computers are not cheap. How much emphasis would you put on animation while designing an app? I believe animation is good in moderation. Like, I like subtle animation. If you can definitely go overboard where there's so much going on the screen and your user is so distracted, but you can use animation very tastefully and subtly to really like liven up your UI and to really direct your user. So I love animation when used correctly and in moderation. Old Yeller says +1 for the meetup. Yeah, if you're in the Bay Area, let me know. I know of a couple people that are, but you know, I don't know how many. Siddharth says, will it be possible to live stream your meetup for the Indian viewers? Yeah, I mean, it sounds like, you know, Brian's kind of in the idea. We'll have to talk and figure out how we want to do that. Obviously, this idea just came up, so not much planning has been done. But yeah, we'll have to talk about it. Yep, great to work with you too, Brian. Like I said, hope that was the first of many. Yeah, Kilo liked the Amish comment. No offense to the Amish people. I just, you know, that's their style. They do the beard with like no mustache. Shout out says, love your videos. Thank you. Thanks for the kind words. Siddharth says, while learning new APIs or any new technology, do you prefer learning it from documentation or do you prefer already existing tutorials by others? It depends. If it's a common thing where like a lot of people have done it, I like to learn from tutorials from others because, you know, it's been done, it's been common. It's so common that they probably know what they're doing. However, if it's like a brand new framework and people don't really understand it yet, I might not trust a blog post because I don't know how well they understand it. Then I would probably go towards documentation. But like I said, if it's a very common thing that a lot of people have done and proven they've done, I go to the blog posts. The old Yeller says, is there any value in spending time to be a beginner, intermediate Android dev concurrent with being an iOS dev? I mean, of course there's value learning Android and iOS. Like if you know both and know them both well, that makes you that much more valuable. My opinion, if you're a beginner and you're trying to learn both at the same time, that might slow you down. I think probably the better route to go is to become, you know, an expert, or maybe not an expert, but as good as possible in one of the languages, and then, switch to the other language once you're very good at the first language, and that's because a lot of it will transfer over to the other language, because a lot of them are very similar. Like they all deal with like arrays, table views kind of stuff. They just do it a little bit differently. So learning them both side by side as a beginner, I think, is probably a little bit much, but that's just my opinion. Todd Gore says yes, PayPal. Okay, I feel like I answered that. Norse95. So I graduate in May with a CS degree, and I like doing iOS, but not sure if I should go all in learning iOS development now or study LeetCode and stuff and try to interview for general developer roles. As you guys know, I don't have a CS degree, so it's kind of hard for me to give advice to a CS student. I'm not sure exactly what you guys are going for or what kind of opportunities are there for you right out of school. So Norse, I apologize. I don't feel like I could give a qualified answer to your question. However, one opinion I could give, being good and studying for general developer roles, I mean, that will definitely help you set a foundation no matter which path you choose, because having that foundation is huge. So maybe that would be my recommendation, but again, take it with a grain of salt. I'm not a pro or anything. That having that foundation will absolutely help you in general programming, no matter what direction you go, and it will give you the flexibility to go into whatever direction. You're not setting yourself on one path. Chili, keep up the good work. Yeah, it was good meeting you, Chili. I did a mentoring session with Chili the other day. Got to know him, a good guy. So thanks for showing up and supporting. Anish, should I learn Objective-C for iOS development jobs? That depends what you want. If you're trying to get in a big company that has an Objective-C code base, then yeah. So companies like Facebook, Twitter, the companies that have been around for, before Swift, essentially, are probably going to be in Objective-C. So if you're looking there, go Objective-C. However, if newer companies or newer startups are more your style, their code base is most likely going to be in Swift. So it kind of depends on what you want and what you're shooting for. Vandon says, do you know of any resource where they teach you to build an app for every device on both orientations? I haven't seen one that really addresses that. I mean, I've had to do that, in my professional life, and it is a pain trying to handle, everything from the iPhone 4 to the iPhone 7 Plus to all the sizes of the iPads now. Yes, there are size classes, compact, regular, all that stuff that handles a lot of it, but there's still a lot of tweaking you have to do to get it like pixel perfect on every screen. So it's a pain. There aren't a lot of resources out there, probably because it is a pain, and it's hard to like put in like a quick 15 to 20 minute video, like how to do all that. So yeah, that's my take on it. Chris, hey, what's up, Chris? How you doing? Good to see you. I think we're meeting tomorrow. So you've talked before about the importance of having an online presence. I'm curious how often your website portfolio gets mentioned in interviews or looked at by potential clients. So people always pretty much look at my website. Nobody's really mentioned my portfolio, and you always hear in interviews that they want to ask you about previous apps, and some have. Some have said, hey, will you walk me through a tough technical thing you did on this app and how you got through it? That is a common interview question. However, lately, I don't know, it's hit or miss. You definitely have to have one. Like, I'm not trying to say like, oh, don't have one. Like, definitely have a personal website, definitely have a portfolio. The importance employers put on it is really specific to that company. Like, I would say it's probably 50-50 in what I've seen in my experience, where some of the people interviewing me, it seems like they didn't even look at my website or portfolio because they didn't even mention it. Whereas others, you can tell they definitely reviewed it and looked at it, and they asked specific questions on it. So I think the answer is you have to have one, but expect it to be about 50-50 on employers actually looking at it. Okay, Mark says, what about building a community/channel-based app where everyone contributes in some sort of way, get everyone some experience with open source? So that's an interesting question, or an interesting idea. I'm doing this with my meetup, Learn Swift Queens. Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm just being presented with this idea now, so I'd have to think about how exactly that would be implemented, but I definitely think it's an interesting idea. I'm just not sure about dealing with 1,000 pull requests and reviewing each one. Sounds like a lot of work, but I'll have to give it some thought, but I definitely think it's an interesting idea. Tom Phelps says, what is your opinion on developing solely in Swift for iOS using something like Xamarin or cross-platform development? I'm not a fan of cross-platform development. Just in my opinion, you can get into the holy war of, React Native versus Swift, or, native development versus that kind of development. I believe in native. I just believe in doing things, the right way. The reason people go with hybrid is because they're, to save money, right? Because development is expensive. So they want to do one code base. There's other reasons too. But in my opinion, the bottom line, if you can afford it, like you go native, right? And I've never used Xamarin, so I don't really have an opinion on that. Sorry. Ada says, Latest, I had to implement iCloud in my app to find tutorials. For that is very hard. Yes, not a lot of people use CloudKit. I did an old CloudKit tutorial because I started using, and then I actually gave up on it in my project because I found it to be too restrictive. But this was also when it first came out, so CloudKit's now been out for 2 years, so it's probably gotten better. But when I was doing it, it was too restrictive for my project, so I kind of stopped using it. I haven't revisited it since, and that's probably why there's not a lot of tutorials out there, because I bet a lot of people ran into the same thing. Alexander says, what do you think middle iOS developer have to know? Yeah, I would run through my iOS interview question series, run through that. If you know those, you'll be able to get an intermediate or middle iOS developer job, in my opinion, because that's pretty much what I'm interviewing for. So if you nail all those questions, I think you'll be good to go. Gamo says, hey, I just joined. Could you go over how developer teams work on the same project? How do you decide to write syntax? Yes, actually, Gamo, you mentioned this in a comment, and I actually took a note and put a star next to it, that I thought this was a really good idea for a video on how teams basically decide their coding style, how they work together, how they communicate and merge their code. So that video will be coming soon. That did get bumped up to the top of the list because I really like that idea. It's a bit much to go into right now, but be on the lookout for a video there very soon. The old Yeller says, as more developers come into mobile programming, do you think you'll switch to a more specialized technology to earn more money? I'm not sure how you can get more specialized than being just an iOS native developer. Maybe like specializing in something like only ARKit, you know, being just the ARKit expert as that comes out. Potentially. I mean, obviously, I think you have the right idea, right? Like, as more people come in, the people that have experience, you know, could become more specialized. But at the same time, it also depends if your interest, right? Like, if I personally don't like to be pigeonholed into one thing, even if I love ARKit and I decided to become an ARKit expert, like, I think I would go nuts if that was all I worked on. Like, I like being able to work on all different things. So I think I would say general just because that's my preference, but I think you are right. You have the right idea, in my opinion. Sidar says, there's so much to learn since there are many new APIs and frameworks announced in WWDC this year. Can we expect tutorials on apps using frameworks like ARKit, CoreML, Vision? Brian did a couple Vision tutorials. Definitely go check that out. There's been a lot of CoreML stuff. And they came out so quick and they're so basic. I have a feeling that you don't have to do much out of the box with CoreML. I haven't had a chance to play with it. And then ARKit, I've played with a little bit. I did a tutorial on just like the basics on kind of how it works, but I haven't had a chance to build an app yet with that. And I'm trying to think of a good idea for that. But man, if you just follow the Twitter handle made with ARKit, people are doing some crazy stuff, and I think that's probably well beyond my talents too, of the kind of stuff they're doing, because they're using like game engines. You know, like what's it called? It starts with a U. You guys are gonna let me know. But I mean, yeah, they're using like Unreal and stuff, and that's way beyond my talents. So yeah, that's where I stand with that. Norse, not sure if you have a video about this, but what's your opinion on storyboarding versus non-storyboarding? I don't have a video on it. I've mentioned it a few times in the live stream. I'm team storyboard, with the caveat that I completely understand their downfalls. I've dealt with them for the past 2 years, and I feel like I've dealt with them enough that I can handle them and they're not a big deal. I can completely understand somebody that does it programmatically coming to storyboards is going to be like, wow, this sucks, it's so restrictive. Like, I get it. However, I've dealt with them enough, it's what I grew up on, that I feel like I said, I feel like I'm good enough with them that I don't run into a lot of those issues. And some of the issues are unavoidable, like, you know, having code reviews being almost impossible, you know, for UI. But yeah, I'm team storyboard, but I completely understand the other opinion as well. It's just my opinion is storyboard. Yola says, hi Sean, how are you, mate? If you were in a position to choose between a developer who knows iOS and Android or iOS and backend, which would you prefer? That's interesting. Be very, very project-based. Because a lot of companies, at least here in Silicon Valley, will launch iOS first, perfect their product on iOS, and then launch on Android a month later. That's a pretty common pattern. So I would say iOS and backend, just for my market and for the kind of stuff that I work with. So, but it's probably different in every market. Obviously, worldwide, Android has the market share. But here in US and the Silicon Valley, iOS is still the more important platform, in my opinion, and what I see a lot of. But again, it's going to depend on where you live and the business you're trying to do. Lucas says, I don't have a CS degree. I'm self-taught, been in about for 1.5 years. Sounds familiar. Most companies want a CS degree, 4+ years of experience, et cetera, et cetera. Is it even worth time applying to them? I mean, sure. It's hard to say it's not worth your time because you never know. Like, you could apply and get hired, and yes, it was worth your time. But yeah, you're right. Most of the time, you're gonna have a very low reply rate. Like I remember when I was doing that, like I would apply to like 60 companies and I would hear back from like 3, you know, so just to give you an idea. Now when I do job search, I do what I call like passive job searching, where I just take in recruiter incoming emails on LinkedIn, and then I go on hired.com. If you're not familiar with that site, check it out. They do referrals, but I don't even know what my referral code is, so don't worry about it. But go to hired.com, and yeah, so people will like you'll build a good profile there, and people will like request interviews there. So I haven't actually just gone to a website and applied to a job in a long time, so I can't really speak to that. Kilo says CloudKit is still restricted but has gotten better. Yeah, like I said, it probably has. I just haven't revisited it since like it came out. So obviously that's what Apple does. They launch a framework, and when they first launch it, it's pretty limited, but then over the years they just keep building on it to when it gets good. So yeah, CloudKit, I probably should revisit it just so I can speak intelligently on it, but it's been a while. Difference between macOS developer and iOS developer. To be honest with you, I'm not sure. I've never developed a macOS app. I do know the language is a little bit different. I mean, it's still Swift or Objective-C, but there's some different, you know, things that are a little bit different. But I haven't really explored it, so I can't give a great answer on that. Sorry, Anish. Reed says, all right, real quick, I'm going to go for about 5 more minutes. Let me see how many questions I have. Okay, I should be able to get caught up. I'm going to go for about 5 more minutes and then head out. Okay, so Reed says, do you think in 8 to 10 years Swift will be the norm for companies like Facebook and Twitter? Will Apple force Objective-C to become too far obsolete? I don't think Apple's going to and again, this is my opinion, right? Like I don't work for Apple. I don't know this. This is my opinion. I think Objective-C is going to be around because the giants of the world like Facebook are built heavily on Objective-C. And for them to convert their code base from Objective-C to Swift would be a monumental undertaking. I'm not saying they're never going to do it, but that'd be a big deal. So I do think in 8 to 10 years, which is a very long time, I mean, we're going to be on a different platform by then, in my opinion. Like the smartphone will probably be gone in 10 years and we'll be on something else, in my opinion. So obviously I think Apple will still be around and playing in that world. So I do think Swift is still relevant, you know, but you know, it's hard to say like these code bases now that are on Objective-C, I think will be kind of obsolete almost because we'll be on a different platform, in my opinion, in 10 years. What's your opinion of Kyrie Irving? It'll be interesting to see where he goes. I hope he goes to the West. Like I just want the West to be completely lopsided because that means every game the Warriors play is going to be super interesting if they're playing like other, you know, quote unquote super teams. That'll be fun to watch. Liam, hey, what's going on? Yep, Liam caught me live. Thanks. Yep, on Unity. That's the one I was looking for, guys. I said Unreal too, but yeah, Unity. So yeah, so those guys on ARKit are basically like game developers using Unity and high-end 3D graphics, and I can't do that. Alexander says, what architecture do you prefer in your projects, MVC, MVVM, or Viper, which is better? I typically do MVC mainly due to time constraints, and I haven't really experimented with the other ones. I've dabbled at MVVM a little bit, haven't even touched Viper, but my projects are typically MVC because working for clients, you're on a tight time constraint, and you know, you just kind of go with what you know so you can get the project out as quick as possible rather than experimenting with new frameworks. So which is better? I don't have enough experience to answer that, but I use MVC most of the time just because that's kind of the tried and true. But like I said, I understand what MVVM is and the benefits of it. And if I had time, I would like to explore that because I think theoretically I like the thought behind it. I just haven't had time to really experiment with it. Eli, what's up? Siddharth says, what are your suggestions for a junior iOS developer who wants to start freelancing, has no clue about how to get freelance projects? So if you're a junior, it's probably pretty hard to get freelance. You might have to get lucky and stumble into it, kind of like I did. But yeah, because people are going to want to see experience. They're going to want to know that you can actually do the project they're hiring you to do. And if it's your first project and you're junior, it's going to be hard for them to actually hire you. So I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's going to be the tougher road for sure. And your best bet is to probably find somebody you know that's willing to do a small project with you. Maybe you might even have to do it for free. I know that's probably not what you're looking for, but without a portfolio and without experience, it's going to be hard to get it. Helen says, hey Sean, what kind of position would you apply for if mobile development was about to die? I have no idea. Whatever the next platform is, whether that's VR, AR, or something we don't even know exists yet. Like I said, I believe whatever is next, I believe Apple will be a player in that field, and I believe their programming of choice will be Swift. So I think learning Swift and understanding the Apple ecosystem, I think I'll have job security for the rest of my career, you know, 20, 30 years. Who knows? That's just my opinion. Like obviously crazier stuff has happened. But yeah, I think having my career tied to the Apple, you know, ship, I think is a pretty secure thing. But you never know. Kilo says, yeah, human OS when smartphones are gone. Yeah, who knows what's going to be after smartphones, but I mean, as with anything, right? Like no technology lasts forever. Like something's going to come. Who knows what it is? All right, last question. Do you think studying iOS development from scratch with no programming background is easy? No, I mean, it's exactly what I did. And now I'm a full-time, fully employed iOS developer. It took me about, from the time I started, from the time I got hired was, I think, 7 months. No, it wasn't easy, but it's absolutely possible. I mean, I did it. I'm living proof, sitting here right in front of you. So yes, you can absolutely do it. Just gotta keep at it. All right, guys, I gotta get going. I went over time. Try to Alexander. Okay. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. We'll see you guys next week. See ya.